The two main formats, there's ads that appear in the news feed itself. Don't know if I'm going to see any. You don't generally see as many in the news feed as you do on Facebook, for instance. What
Yeah.
I've seen more joy with is in the messaging part. So I've got the messaging section on the right, where we can kind of open it up. So these ones here, see where it says sponsored. So this
Oh,
one is
yes,
this one
yes.
is a sponsored message. So this is what a
Right.
conversation ad would show up like. So I'm being targeted because on my profile I went to the University of Sheffield, which is why they're targeting me. So I guess it's not a terrible example, but again, it's like it's not that relevant to me. But this is an example of like where I've seen the best results recently,
Mm.
and like it's kind of weird that like before they introduced the conversation ads, the cost per lead for like the messaging ads was still quite high. It was still like hundreds of pounds per lead. And then they switched it to conversation ads. And like I had a clients where like it literally went like I think they were paying about £150 per lead, which was okay because they're quite a big company and one client is worth big bucks basically. But then it went down to like £20 a lead. I was like, just from changing the ad format. So I was like, well, actually, it's kind of worth paying attention to. So this is where they appear. So you got your message. You can merge in basic details, although I try not to do too much of that. Like you can merge in their company name, but then it relies on the company name being up to date and things like that. So I don't personalize it that much in terms of merge fields. But then at the bottom, you can kind of pose a question and say, is you can just focus on a problem that you think they're going to have if they're a good fit for what you do and say, I've got this free template that, explores or helps you to start solving this right now. It could be a template, it could be a checklist, it could be an operating procedure. Would you be interested in a free copy? And then they just say, yeah, that sounds great. And if they say, yes, it sounds great, then it sends them another message with a link to it. And the second message would say, super, just fill in the following lead form. I'll get it sent to you straight away. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So the draft message, I'll go back to my notepad. I kind of draft all of my, I, I don't know whether this is counterproductive, but I tend to draft a lot of my copy in notepad. Just, just to kind of even get away from Word and get away from all of the temptations to go and bold stuff in italics, make stuff italic and mess around with the formatting. It's like there's no formatting. It's just a plain notepad file. But yeah, the structure is my name's Rob. So again, I'm starting with what I know. So I have to introduce myself because they don't know me. So I help entrepreneurs to tell their story and grow their audience without spending a fortune on ads. I'm writing because it looks like you're responsible for your own marketing. I might this has to grab their attention. I'm writing because it looks like you are trying to deal with X. I'm writing because, whatever it ends up being. I then said, I believe there has never been a greater need for truth and authenticity in marketing. The main place to tell your story is right after people subscribe to your email list. That's also the highest ROI email sequence you can craft. I've developed a series of 12 storytelling writing prompts for crafting. Again, as I read this out, there's often like edits. It's like, oh yeah, I've said craft too many times here, so there's some repetition for crafting or creating a great welcome sequence. It's called the Lead Incubator Blueprint. Would you be interested in a free copy? And then at the end, there's no catch, strings, or crazy upsell, but I'd love to know what you think. And then the two options would be, sure, I'm interested, which would then trigger the second message, or no thanks, which just ends the conversation basically. I haven't I haven't I am going to test this. I am going to reword this slightly. I also think that I'm going to create a template for writing this type of ad and say, so the opening would be, you know, I'm writing because it looks like you sell B2B and it looks like, you're active on LinkedIn, your clients are on LinkedIn, but perhaps, you're not getting as many leads from your efforts as you could be. I help clients to run LinkedIn ads affordably using messaging ads like this one. I have a free template. I'd love to send you a copy. Would you be interested in it? That I think is probably going to get a better response than this, just because people just because everyone thinks they have a traffic problem, and LinkedIn ads is a more sexy intro than email follow-up sequences. But I might test both and see what works best. So so yeah, this is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to do a little course on this next week. Not a big one, but just a little course in terms of crafting this type of ad. Also crafting creating a document ad, which would then be, so if I've got my lead incubator blueprints as like a 12-page PDF or whatever it comes out as, you can let them preview a few pages of the PDF. Let me just go into, I think I had trying to think if I had a test campaign. Oh, these are quite old. Let me just go in and create a campaign. Again, we'll go through this. I'll go through this properly on the course. But yeah, you come in, you say, well, actually, all of my ads I'm doing for lead generation, which means I'm asking people to fill in a form hosted on LinkedIn, which usually means that they're not really leads yet. They're just people who've kind of expressed interest in your initial offer. I don't think they're leads yet. I think it's just building a pool of people who might become leads. I've got someone that I speak to who runs an automated webinar, and I actually think having this kind of system where you have like an initial conversation ad feeding into a lead magnet that you could then have an automated webinar as the next step after this. Yeah, that might work as well. So there's different kind of permutations of the system. You then select your targeting. So I've got my coaches and consultants audience. So you know you can target based on where they are, job titles, years experience, how old they are. So make sure you turn off audience expansion. If you leave this on, I don't know if you've done any Google advertising, but there's a setting if you run a Google display campaign. I think it's called it might also be called audience expansion, but it means that if you target like a remarketing audience, it will also just target people who Google thinks are similar to people in your remarketing audience, even though they've never seen you build on your website. This is kind of the same feature, so you have to turn that off. Otherwise, it will not only target these people, but it will also just target people like anywhere in the world who LinkedIn thinks might convert. But yeah, we've got this document format. So the two formats I use are this conversation format and the document format. It will ask you to set a tremendous daily budget. I don't do this. So what I'm suggesting to clients at the moment is it's like, yeah, if you were to run LinkedIn ads constantly, you probably need about a £3 budget per month, which for a big company is fine. For at our level, I don't think so, especially not as a testing budget. But what you can do is say, well, don't run ads over the full month. Just run ads for like 4 days, 5 days, and just spend like, 15, 20 quid a day, or even just like £10 a day over, 7 days. Spend like 70 quid to test a lead magnet, and then just look, well, how much engagement did you have with your messaging ad? First of all, was it tapping into a problem that they have right now? How many people then responded to the lead form? And it just gives you a bit of like a working model from spending like, 70 quid, 80 quid. I think that's okay. And ultimately, if you generate one serious lead out of that, then potentially that becomes quite profitable. But yeah, it's just a case of not running ads all the time until you're out of the testing phase, until you've got, your audience dialed in, your lead magnet dialed in, the email follow-up sequence dialed in. It's like, well, that obviously, takes time. So you just run it for a few days on a kind of smaller budget. So rather than running it continuously, you set a start and an end date that might be 5 days or 7 days. And if after 4 days you've seen that you spent like most of the budget and it's not generated any leads, and you just cut it off a bit early and chalk it down to experience, and just have like a notepad file somewhere or like a Word document that just documents all of the different ad experiments that you run and what the results were. So you've got a bit of a testing log. But yeah, if I just, I was going to show you document ads quickly. It might ask me to, yeah, create a new ad. Uh, so yeah, so you select so you can see here, it will basically give you a preview of so many pages. So you still get like the introductory text, which appears above the ad. So the introductory text says that has to be about the problem. That has to be. So for me, that's like, um, do you know your clients are on LinkedIn, but they're just not seeing your organic posts? Perhaps you need to use ads. Take a look at my conversation ad LinkedIn template. That could literally be the introductory text. And then perhaps I've got, a PDF here that I just give them like a 1 or 2 page preview. When it says unlock full documents, that unlock full document goes to a LinkedIn hosted lead form. So again, this can work quite well. The other reason that I like this is because I don't you don't actually need any imagery for the ads. It will just preview the PDF file itself. Whereas sort of for single image ads, for instance, or carousel ads, like you need some degree of graphic design because it's the image. It's always the image that stops them from scrolling by. Whereas actually for both conversation ads and for document ads, you don't really need any graphic design. You just need a PDF that's actually helpful for the people that you serve.